Once I was watching TV in the afternoon in my house in Ypsilanti, and there's one Harvard scholar gives a big discovery and saying, which is something very common our kids will know. Yeah, the best way of learning is memorizing or something. Visualizing, okay. Visualizing is the best way of learning. And that is even the kids in Tibet are taught. They know it. And as this becomes a big, well-known Harvard professor's discovery here, and the worldwide attention was paying. Buddha's discovery is no matter how small, how tiny it may become, but East never touches West. As long as there is East, there is West. If you cease to be East, if there cease to be East exists, then West will also not exist. So is it dividable? This side never touch that side. It is called in Tibetan, no duten chame. Always there is a pair. Always there is something. Even the time, there's earlier, later time. So it's always. So which means it's all dependent. Which means it's all dependent. Dependent on part and parcel. Dependent on cause and the result. Dependent on everything. Even the pillar here. The pillar. That a big concrete pillar here. Is this a dependent origination? Hundreds, thousands of particles put together. Bundle them together, it becomes that. Yes, this is a huge pillar holding a whole building up, but it's not an independent pillar. It is dependent on probably millions of particles. And when the fallen part goes off, house collapse, everything does all that, because it's dependent. So that the precious me, who I am very, very, very strongly protecting, doing all this, is also dependent. So nothing really, something which you can point it out, this is it. That's the emptiness. And then if you look at this very carefully with that idea is an idea. But when you discover that idea, when you understand that idea, so then you really begin to see what the heck I've been protecting. All this life after life. What the heck we've been really protecting? Because there's nothing you're protecting. Very drastical way of cutting our negative thoughts, emotions, ideas, and deeds. It's really rooting it out from the root itself. That root, very thing you and me and everybody else been protecting for ages are not there. What are we protecting? So it is a very, very radical way of eradicating our own sort of really attachment and hatred, which is the removing the red carpet under the feet of ego, honestly. And that's why it's called Buddhist wisdom or Buddha's wisdom. And all of us, we have all these hang-ups on that. People did it all the time, wrong things, making other people hurt, making yourself hurt, harming. Sometimes even you're thinking you're helping, but you're hurting and harming. All of this we did. And when you're doing that, when you're hurting the others, you're also hurting yourself. All the time we do this. One doesn't realize you've been hurting yourself until the symptoms show up within you. You think you're hurting somebody else, protecting yourself, but we all do. We all hurting the others, hurting ourselves, hurting everybody. Most of the time we do that, but yet we call it helping. It's not. So all of these are because we are at the service of our ego. We are very dedicated to protect our ego dictating us. That's natural of our mind, isn't it funny? If you look at our mind, that's that. That's what's in it. That's what we see it. We could trace it up to now. You can see that's the ego who are dictating everything else. And wait till you see there is no ego. Who is dictating is not there. I was just remembering a few years ago, a friend of mine told me, there's a monastery in the northeast frontier territory in India. There's a famous monastery called Tawang, which is supposed to be sixth Dalai Lama's birthplace. So Tawang Monastery. And they said there is one big little bamboo case like this. I don't remember whether that person directly told me or second person. He told somebody, second person. So during all these years, and they one abbot after another, when they're handing over the monastery, so one of the things they handed over is that little bamboo case, which is sealed, stamped. So many seals are there. Number of different people put seals, different administrations, the governments which control the area put the seals and all that. And then this present His Holiness in Dharamsala Sama, he said, "What's in there?" And the abbot, He somehow, because the Dalai Lama said, what is in there? He opened it. All the seals, He said, empty inside, there's nothing. Normally, they're supposed to have some kind of protector called Bandal Hamu's picture or something inside, sort of living, almost like a living life. And when you open, there's nothing in there. So I remember that story. So we're looking for something that, administration after administration, life after life, somebody handed over, somebody that we are protecting, that ego. When you look at it, it's empty. Empty bamboo picture frame, picture, what you call those, where you put art. Picture tube, yeah. Picture. So wait till you see that. And when you see, and every time, whoa, what's happened to it? And then immediately the doubt, because somebody might have stolen, and when did they stole this, or who did it, which generation, that thought will go, right? But the truly is not there. The reality is not there. So what are you protecting? Who the administration after government actually putting their stamps. Like Indian central government comes and puts a stamp on top of it, and they say it, and it's there, and government changes, another stamp comes saying that, and at the end, then nothing. Empty. Like that, we protect. We do all that, and at the end, it's not there. What are you protecting? Everything is dependent. Depend on the conditions. Depend on, as I said earlier, depend on the cause and effects. Depend on the part and parcels. All dependent. That is why we become responsible to ourselves. Honestly, we are responsible for our own deeds. And that also tells us, if you are happy, you deserve it. You worked. It is your own deed. Enjoy yourself. If you suffer, talk the other way around. If you suffer, you deserve it. Accept it. Don't feel so bad. Don't cry, it won't help. It makes additional problem. Think about, I am suffering, how unfortunate. Why do I have to be like that? And more worry, more suffer, more problem. The real original difficulty is there. On top of that, we worry about it. On top of that, you torture yourself. And it says, oh my God, I'm a bad person, I really, wow. All that, right? So that is, again, uncalled for. Uncalled for. So which means we are responsible for ourselves. If you become a little crazy, that is your responsibility. You made yourself crazy, so don't blame others. If you're a nice person, and you made yourself, appreciate it. That is natural emptiness. Very simple way of putting. Where I put it in there, maybe sometimes you have there's advantage and disadvantage. Advantage is it becomes reachable. You can think about it. Disadvantage is I may be doing disservice for you because it is something very serious, Buddhist philosophy, and it is something Buddha's wisdom, something. But on the other hand, how secret, how important, how hidden it might be, but it has to work with us. And really rooting it, all these protections we are doing, protecting, and when you realize there's nothing to be protected. It's very similar if you have to keep it cash, somewhere, like a money cash inside. So you put them in a wallet or something, right? And then that wallet becomes very important. You protect that, right? Hide and whatever you have to do. And when you spend money out, the wallet is empty and it no longer has any value in it. Somehow you can throw the wallet in the middle of the street. It doesn't matter whoever takes. It's an easy way of removing burden. I don't know whether that's resonate with anybody. It's an easy way of removing the burden that we carry. And that's why it's called wisdom. Not only easy way of removing the burden we carry, but an easy way of hitting there's something that is bothering us all the time, everywhere. It really hits very hard, very core it is. That's what it is. When you look at the picture of Manjushri right here, and those of you know what Manjushri is, but those of you who don't know, in Buddhism, Manjushri is the god of wisdom. And when you look at the Manjushri, they got a sword in the hand. Sword, right? There you can see the sword. Why the Manjushri carrying a sword? He's not waiting for the thieves to come and cut them. No. The sword is there to cut this source of suffering. And sort of ego clinging, ego grasping, clinging, grasping. What does ego grasping, holding ego tight, or sort of a tight net of ego? That's what the Manjushri sword is supposed to cut. The tight net of the ego is something you're protecting which is not there to be protected.